Today our topic is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge and wisdom are two things that often get mixed up, but they are not the same. Knowledge is about knowing facts, information, and skills. It is what you learn from books, teachers, or the internet. For example, if you read about how to cook a dish, you gain knowledge about cooking. But wisdom is different. Wisdom is about understanding life, making good choices, and knowing how to use your knowledge in the right way. It comes from experience, reflection, and learning from mistakes. You can know a lot, but without wisdom, you might not know how to use that knowledge well. Let me explain this more. Imagine two people. One person has read many books about swimming. They know all the techniques, the physics of water, and the best ways to move your body. But they have never actually swum in a pool or the ocean. The other person has never read a book about swimming, but they have spent years swimming in rivers and lakes. They know how the water feels, how to stay calm in strong currents, and how to trust their body. The first person has knowledge, but the second person has wisdom. Knowledge is about knowing the theory, but wisdom is about understanding how to apply it in real life. This is why you can meet people who are very smart, but still make bad decisions. They might know a lot, but they lack the wisdom to see the bigger picture or to understand how their actions affect others. On the other hand, you might meet someone who didn't go to school or read many books, but they have a deep understanding of life. They know how to handle difficult situations, how to treat people with kindness, and how to find peace even when things are hard. This is the power of wisdom. So, how do we gain wisdom? It doesn't come from just reading or studying. Wisdom comes from living. It comes from trying things, failing, and learning from those failures. It comes from observing the world and thinking deeply about what you see. It comes from listening to others, especially those who have lived longer or gone through different experiences. Wisdom is not something you can rush. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to learn. Let me give you an example. Think about a young person who is very ambitious. They want to be successful, so they work hard, learn everything they can, and try to climb the ladder quickly. But sometimes they make mistakes. They might hurt others in their rush to succeed, or they might burn out because they don't take care of themselves. Over time, if they reflect on their actions, they might start to understand that success is not just about reaching the top. It's also about how you treat people, how you handle challenges, and how you find balance in life. This understanding is wisdom. It doesn't mean they stop being ambitious, but they learn to pursue their goals in a way that is healthier and more meaningful. This brings me to another important point. Wisdom often involves humility. When you are wise, you realize that you don't know everything. You understand that life is complex, and there is always more to learn. This humility allows you to stay open-minded and curious. It helps you to listen to others and to consider different perspectives. On the other hand, if you think you already know everything, you stop growing. You might become stubborn or closed off, and that can hold you back from gaining wisdom. Now, let's talk about how knowledge and wisdom work together. They are not enemies. In fact, they can support each other. Knowledge gives you the tools, but wisdom shows you how to use them. For example, let's say you learn about the importance of exercise and healthy eating. That's knowledge. But wisdom is what helps you create a routine that works for your life, even when you're busy or tired. Wisdom is what helps you stay consistent and motivated, even when it's hard. Another example is in relationships. You might read books about communication and understand the theory of how to talk to people. That's knowledge. But wisdom is what helps you know when to speak and when to listen. It helps you understand that sometimes being kind is more important than being right. Wisdom is what helps you navigate conflicts and build strong, healthy relationships. So how can you grow in wisdom? Here are a few practical steps. First, be curious. Ask questions and seek to understand, not just to know. Second, Reflect on your experiences. Take time to think about what has happened in your life and what you have learned from it. Third, listen to others, especially those who have different experiences or perspectives than you. Fourth, be open to making mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail, because failure is often where the deepest lessons are found. And finally, be patient. Wisdom doesn't come overnight. It's a lifelong journey. In the end, knowledge is important, but wisdom is what gives life meaning. It's what helps you make good choices, build strong relationships, and find peace in a complicated world. So, as you go through life, don't just focus on gaining more knowledge. Also, focus on growing in wisdom. Learn from your experiences, listen to your heart, and always stay open to learning. Remember, the goal is not just to know more, but to understand more. That is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Now, let's think about how this applies to everyday life. Imagine you are faced with a difficult decision. Maybe you have to choose between two jobs, or decide whether to end a relationship, or figure out how to handle a conflict with a friend. Knowledge might help you understand the options. You might research the pros and cons, or talk to people who have been in similar situations. But wisdom is what helps you weigh those options in the context of your own values and goals. It helps you consider not just the immediate consequences, but also the long-term impact of your decision. Wisdom is what helps you listen to your intuition and make a choice that feels right, even if it's not the easiest one. Another way to think about wisdom is through the lens of Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. It's about finding inner peace, even when the world is chaotic. Stoicism is deeply connected to wisdom because it encourages us to reflect on our experiences, to learn from our challenges, and to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. For example, a Stoic might say that it's not the events in our lives that upset us, but our judgments about those events. This is a wise perspective because it reminds us that we have the power to choose how we respond to life's challenges. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. This brings me to another important idea. Wisdom often involves acceptance. Life is full of things we cannot change: other people's actions, the past, or even certain aspects of ourselves. Wisdom teaches us to accept these things and focus on what we can change. This doesn't mean we give up or stop trying. It means we direct our energy in a way that is productive and meaningful. For example, if you are in a situation where you feel stuck, wisdom might help you see that instead of complaining or blaming others, you can focus on what you can do to improve your situation. Maybe it's learning a new skill, reaching out for help, or simply changing your perspective. Finally, let's talk about the importance of balance. Wisdom helps us find balance in life. It reminds us that while it's good to work hard and pursue our goals, it's also important to take care of ourselves and enjoy the present moment. Wisdom helps us see that life is not just about achieving success, but also about finding joy, building relationships, and making a positive impact on the world. It's about living a life that is not only successful, but also meaningful and fulfilling. In conclusion, knowledge and wisdom are both important, but they serve different purposes. Knowledge is about knowing facts and information, while wisdom is about understanding how to use that knowledge in a way that is good and meaningful. Wisdom comes from experience, reflection, and learning from mistakes. It involves humility, acceptance, and balance. As you go through life, don't just focus on gaining more knowledge. Also, focus on growing in wisdom. Learn from your experiences, listen to your heart, and always stay open to learning. Remember, the goal is not just to know more, but to understand more. That is the difference between knowledge and wisdom.